Our top law enforcement officer is in the house tonight.
The Dan Yorke State of Mind program is brought to you in part by Lookout Rhode Island and Takeo Comfort Solutions.
You know, he promised access and he's delivered it in his tenure, and he's got a lot of things on his plate, always does, but there are some initiatives that the Attorney General's office is on top of, and then there are questions that are looming because, you know, he's a former U.S. attorney. He takes his time with these investigations, and sometimes it frustrates people. So we shall prod the Attorney General on some of those matters this evening. It's great to have you aboard. Thanks for checking in. Happy Thanksgiving to you. It'll be a busy week for you, I'm sure. Next week's show will be a pre-recorded one for the holidays, and one I think you'll enjoy. I'll tell you about it at the end of the broadcast. In the meantime, just a couple of things on the news level. On a national level, the House of Representatives censured Representative Gosar from Arizona yesterday. You know, what's sad about this is that only 2 Republicans saw that an anime depicting the murder of a fellow congressperson was something to be upset about. If you go back, I mean, check your C-SPAN, because I know you're busy, you didn't follow it all day long. Those of you who did, you probably saw the incredible, like, conscientious divide between the parties that just completely preempts any kind of used-to-be sensibility about the protection of the integrity of government, the integrity of elected officials, the integrity of their relationships, the sovereignty of their security and protection. All those things are out the window. And you say, Congress, let me tell you something. None of this occurs without us. That we tolerate this behavior is why they tolerate this behavior. It's as simple as that. We think politics is a reflection on the country. No, politics is well, you think we are a reflection of our politics? No, our politics is a reflection of us and how we see things. So just keep that in mind. In the meantime, we've been following this Providence City clerk story, and it went boom. This week because we were waiting for this Watergate-style hearing for Sean Selleck. And I guess they counted the votes, as you do in politics, and he quit the job. But there's more to it. There's more to it. He felt that the process by which he had to fight for his job with a weird city hall charter was jammed up. That the city council president, John Igliozzi, kind of fixed the format so that he would never be able to get his story out, with 3 deputies who have a problem with him in the office. The politics are complicated, kind of swarmy, and John Igliozzi is, well, he was accountable to the conversation with me on the radio this week, weekdays 3 to 6. You can find it on 99.7 WPRI.com. Let's just say, at the end of the day, it might be well that they went this way, but you know, the city council president doesn't have to spike the ball in the end zone, which he did, which could put the city in some kind of litigatable problem. We'll follow that as it goes, but we spent a lot of time on that one, and it just, that happens from time to time. In the meantime, the hospital merger situation has been on the Attorney General's desk for quite some time now, and it's coming full circle. Here's the latest from Channel 12.
Lifespan and Care New England announced plans back in February to join forces and become one system affiliated with Brown University. Just yesterday, the Attorney General and Department of Health deemed the hospital's merger application complete, a milestone that now kicks off a 120-day review of the deal. A committee convened by the Rhode Island Foundation has spent months gathering community feedback and ideas. All of that input is summed up in a nearly 70-page report just released this morning with guidelines for how the deal should be structured. The recommendations are divided into 8 categories, including equity, oversight, access, and cost.
Generally, people want to be able to go to a doctor and be able to afford it. They want to be able to go to a quality hospital nearby and afford it. We need to make sure that's all still in place and gets better. The idea is for this to be one of the best healthcare systems in the country, with Lifespan, with Care New England, and with the affiliation of Brown University.
Okay, welcome, General. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
How much did the Rhode Island Foundation's review of this impact your review?
It doesn't really impact it beyond that it's public input, which we're going to be getting from a variety of sources. I think it's important that we understand that what the Rhode Island Foundation and Neil's statement there makes the point again, that they're assuming that this will be approved. You know, that's an assumption that I wouldn't go there yet. I mean, we've got a review to do, and I don't know where this is going to end. There are three doors we can walk through. One is approval as submitted. One is approval with conditions, which is what I think the Rhode Island Foundation is talking about, and one is no approval at all. And we won't know where we are on that, and won't be able to share that with the public until probably sometime in February or March.
Okay, so people get confused about the chronology of how this whole thing gets handled. The 120-day review now begins.
Correct.
And you're instrumental in that, correct?
Sure, we're one of the two parties, state parties, that have to approve this application. So the way it works then is this. The parties submit an application which lays out a whole bunch of information about what they envision this merger to be. So not just what it'll look like on day one after it were to come together, but what it will look like hopefully down the road. At least that's what we expect them to do. We want to know what this is going to be 5, 10, 20 years out from here. What, you know, where are they going to be expanding service? Where will they might be retracting it? All kinds of questions. Well, the process of getting from the beginning to complete this takes time, because there's a lot of information we need, and there's a lot of back and forth. We need more about this, we need more about that, we need more about this. So what happened this week? What happened this week was we felt like we had enough information. I'm not saying we have it all, because we've asked them, even when we told them it was complete, we need more information from you. But we've got enough now to begin to review this transaction to determine whether or not, whether as proposed or even as proposed with conditions, it is in the best interest of Rhode Islanders. What does that mean? Is the health care that would be delivered of high quality? Is it accessible? And is it affordable? And when I say affordable, what I mean is cost. What's it going to mean for costs? And you know, that's an obvious question, given that we're putting a lot of economic power potentially in the hands of one entity, if this were to be approved.
Yeah, so I think people, when they review the cost, they wonder, ooh, monopoly.
Yeah.
Ooh, monopoly, ooh, will I have options? And will I be at the mercy of, you know, one entity that will dictate not only health policy but health price?
Sure. I mean, and that's why antitrust is a criteria under the State Hospital Conversion Act, which is what we're analyzing this against. So that is, it's an obvious consideration. Everybody knows that. So that's one thing we have to take into account.
I think the thing that gives people a little agita who follow this, I think most Rhode Islanders aren't following this. They just go to the hospital. Mm-hmm. I think that's just the way it is. Mm-hmm. But there's enough of the population that pays attention, votes, and thinks about these things, that is challenged, as I am, to remember that this thing has been like this. You know, in terms of the business merger discussions that have gone on with Care New England, with Lifespan, the hot and cold temperature that's occurred between them over the years,
sure.
The save, if you will, by Gina Raimondo of this, kind of a one more time when there was a merger ready to go with a Boston organization, with Care New England, where Lifespan, the big brother, was kind of left out of the pot. There's been some significant soap operatic drama in this whole thing, right?
I'd agree.
So where do you pair that off? I mean, how much of that bleeds into the current review of what is currently proposed?
Yeah, it doesn't bleed at all. Look, you know, I said when this was first proposed that, look, there are a lot of people who came out in the beginning and thought this would be potentially a good idea. I think that's presumed in what the Rhode Island Foundation has said. I'm not a cheerleader for this transaction. I wasn't involved in any discussions about whether partners should come here or not. I'm a regulator. It's my job to understand what this will mean for Rhode Island and whether it comports with the law and whether it's in the best interest of Rhode Islanders. And it comes down to all those things. It's not just hospitals either. Hospitals are no longer the place where you go when you need care in that moment. Hospital systems now have primary care physicians. You know, it's a system. It's not just a hospital. And when you put this much economic power in one place, you have to analyze it very carefully. So all that other drama that you're talking about, and it definitely exists, has no role in what we're doing.
I think it's just interesting in terms of most people vote for Attorney General based on their perception of crime, right? But
Yeah,
you've
probably
got
right.
you've got this whole, and I know you've tried to argue that your civil responsibility and your regulatory responsibilities is also important. Here's your chance to re-explain that to everybody.
Sure.
That as you're reviewing cases that are coming up through your criminal prosecutorial team, you're checking boxes and you're getting involved, I'm sure, when you have to, when there's a call to be made. But for the most part, this administrative project is huge.
Sure. Look at Prospect, which means, by that I mean Roger Williams and Fatima Hospitals. To me, that was one of the critical issues I faced in my administration.
And you were a tough guy.
Making sure that those hospitals are going to exist into the future. I believed it then, I believe it now, that had we not acted when we did, that we would be facing a potential bankruptcy of those hospitals a year or two down the road. We had to act then. The Civil Division is doing that kind of work all the time, not just in healthcare, environmental protection, consumer protection. The work there is exciting. It's impacting Rhode Islanders in significant ways. But you're right, it flies under the radar screen sometimes.
Yeah, until and unless you lay the lumber down, which you did on that particular hospital deal. Will you stay within the 120-day time frame? That's a constitutional. Is it a constitutional
It's by statute,
demand?
but we'll stay within it. Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. When we come back, you've got a new initiative in terms of how we get police officers to share intel. Stay with us. All right, get them off the streets before they shoot somebody. That's the quote attributed to our guest. We don't have a lot of time for this, but I do want you to dig in. It's another initiative that you're doing, and what's alarming, I think, to anybody who reads this story or understands what you're saying is that you point to a culture between police departments where information sharing is not their favorite thing to do.
Well, it's less about that, Dan. It's just that they're focused on their own city or town, and crime is definitely different.
And limited to what they can do outside the boundaries of the corporation.
Right, correct, exactly. So if you're going to get a search warrant, that police department in that town has to go get it, unless you have the ability to cross jurisdictional lines. The purpose of this initiative, and I give the Providence Police Department a lot of credit in working with us in the first instance to get this off the ground, is a recognition that, look, if you look at gun crime cases brought in the Providence Superior Court, the vast majority come from Providence. But the people that are committing those crimes don't necessarily keep their stash of drugs or their guns or lay their heads at night in Providence. This allows that department, working with our investigators and investigators from ATF, Department of Corrections, Central Falls Pawtucket Police, to move across those boundaries and get guns off the street faster. If we can get to a place where we know a gun is faster, the odds of us getting off the street are higher. So it's a proactive approach. To me, the success of this initiative...
You need a law for this?
No.
This is an administrative decision that you can make.
Sure. So
to extend a warrant search
Sure.
capability across.
If I
city
swear
lines.
in a Providence police officer,
Yeah.
or a state police officer, any police officer as an AG investigator, they then have the ability to get a warrant sworn out anywhere in the state.
Gotcha.
And that allows us to move very quickly. But the success of this initiative will turn on how many guns we get off the street before they're used in a shooting. If we're bringing cases, if we're solving murders, which, look, the police do a great job of that. If we're solving murders and they're prosecuting those murders, we need to do that, but this initiative will not be judged by that. It'll be judged by the number of guns that we're getting off the street before those guns could be used in homicides or shootings, and we're already seeing the fruits of that labor.
Do you have a projection?
I don't have a numbers projection, but look, here's how I judge success. Just the other day, we took a gun off the street in Woonsocket using this task force that had been purchased by somebody who had the ability to purchase guns and then transferred to somebody who didn't. That gun would, no doubt in my mind, be used in a shooting somewhere at some point. That's the kind of case we need to make. If you go back over the cases that we've been making and that the Providence Police Department's been making over just the last 6 months alone, guns in cars. A guy with a gun in a car at 2 o'clock in the morning outside a nightclub. There's only one reason for that guy to be there with a gun at that point in time. To arrest him before he can use that firearm is exactly the kind of work we need to be doing. That's the kind of work we need to be doing. All
right, very good. We'll see. Actually, the interesting thing about this is that the results will be data. The dynamics of a case where a life is lost report out one way. Preemptive work, it doesn't get the headlines.
Sure.
It must drive you crazy.
Well, a little bit. Look, I see the work that we're doing. And look, Providence is doing a great
You all
job.
call a press conference, hey, we got a gun.
Yeah, look.
Hey, we got a gun.
Sometimes we try to package them together.
Yeah.
We did 3 this week with Providence,
Yeah.
because it doesn't land in the same way. But that's how we'll judge success on this. Every person we take off with a gun, when we execute a search warrant at a home or when we knock them off in a car, is somebody who could potentially shoot somebody.
Okay, some pending investigations right now for the Attorney General. We'll talk about that. Stay with us. All right, welcome back. The Attorney General has some things that are under review, and this is kind of like the round robin tournament here. Do I score any points and get any answers? I don't know. Well, let's see if we can take a shot. Here's the first headline. This is a case that I think is really, really, really. It is as dramatic as we've seen in a while, and I think in a lot of ways misunderstood. But having said that, you've got this basketball coach, legendary high school basketball coach, Aaron Thomas. A guy I know, a guy who I've covered, a guy who's called games with me, who has this seemingly interesting way of doing body fat testing. I guess at some juncture in the recent past, the North Kingstown Police Department did an investigation of such and says that the Attorney General's office concurred that there was no criminality there. However, you've made some kind of broad suggestion that you're still reviewing the situation.
Yeah, look, I think
which I think is well, go ahead.
Yeah, it's more definitive than that. We're investigating it. Look, how do I put this? Investigations of this nature are fluid. I mean, we have charged, just to give you some context, 500 sexual assault cases against children over the last 5 years. We have a lot of experience in that space. We have 10 lawyers doing those cases full time. So there's a lot of experience in that space, and we know from that experience that these cases are fluid. So what I mean by that is that this case is under active investigation by my office and the North Kingstown Police Department. What does that mean? We're talking to witnesses. People are calling our office all the time about this case, given the media coverage. So there's no point in keeping that a secret. So we're investigating it, and we'll see where it takes us.
The idea, though, that there was some punctuation to at least one of the cases that has been driving the controversy, that has been without identity, one of the two cases that at least journalistically has been pointed to as the ones that came to the attention of the school committee. Was there a juncture where you guys did take a look at a single case and just said, not criminal?
Yeah, look, I think the most that I can say is that, Dan, is that the bottom line is that until in a case like that investigation reaches me in my office, it's always open. So look, I may have a line prosecutor who deals with the police department and takes a particular look at it, but any case of that magnitude, it could be the cases you read about in other contexts. They land on my desk and I make a decision, and that decision is informed, frankly, by my own experience. I've handled those cases myself. Look, on 9/11, I was trying a sexual assault case against a severely disabled, a severely disabled individual who'd been sexually assaulted. So I try to bring that experience to bear, and if I think a case needs to be opened, or could remain open and needs additional investigative work, then I'm going to make sure the office does that.
You do recognize, though, because I know you have a broad perspective, that when you leave something open-ended, and it's an arguable, and it's a court of public opinion controversy, that you loom over the potential for calm.
Sure.
Or, a result that may not come, but
right.
Do you feel that timetable pressure?
Sure, I do. I think and look, we have a lot on our plate. 500. That's why I bring up the 500 cases. It's not like we deal with one sexual assault case against a child twice a year. Like we're doing 500 of them every 5 years.
Do you see this as a sexual assault case?
Well, potentially. I mean, that's potentially it could be. I mean, look, the allegation.
It doesn't appear that any one of these people, victims, has suggested any kind of physical, genital contact, yada, yada.
Sure. Look, I can't get into the specifics. And I'm not saying that's been an allegation, but under these circumstances, if I've got 20, 30, 40 potential people, I'm not going to put a number on it, but it's multiple. I got to interview them to get to the end of the investigation. So I don't know where it's going to land yet. Look, I can't control, once a case gets out into the media, whether that be, from a victim or from an attorney for a victim, I can't control how it's covered or what the reaction is. All I can do is do the best investigation we can do, and then when I can, share those results with the public.
Right.
And let me say this, Coach Thomas is presumed innocent, right? He's presumed innocent. He hasn't been charged with anything, but it's obvious that we're doing an investigation. And so for me not to confirm that at this point, we're so obvious that we are, I think would be a mistake.
Here's a question I ask all the time, never with a satisfactory answer. Timetable?
Yeah, I don't have one.
Good. Next one. won't get one on this one either. Watch this. Okay, the governor's educational contract process et al. State Police and you are taking a look at it. We've had oversight hearings. There's no doubt that on a political level, hanging over the governor's head a little bit. Where are we?
Yeah, look, it's the same kind of thing. You ask, why can't I put a timetable on it? It's because until we start looking at something, right? Until you start looking at something, until you start looking at records and following up on records and start talking to people, you don't know where it's going to land. You just don't know, and that I think describes that particular review perfectly. Look, there's no question that needed to be looked at by the office, and so we're taking a look at it. But I don't have a timetable for it either.
Am I incorrect in projecting here and on other platforms that this is going to fit into the category of the Attorney General finding no criminality but feeling the need to opine on the matter?
Look, I don't want to get ahead of what we find, because I don't have that information even as I sit here, even if I could share it with you. Look, I do think, though, speaking generally, and you and I have had this conversation before, look, I try to be careful about the statements I make, but the reality is sometimes they come up in the police misconduct context. I'm thinking of the case involving the individual on the moped who was injured as a result of a chase by Providence police last year. There are going to be times when it's important for me to speak out on what I find, and I don't feel like I'm necessarily limited to where there's a criminal charge if I think it's something that is significant for the public to know.
And the final one, which fits the category, is the former chief of staff for the governor. This headline has been looming too. It is an earlier challenge to the McKee administration. I'm guessing falls in the same category. I only have 30 seconds, so you could sum it up. Yeah, it does. It falls in the same category. Look, there's a really good team of lawyers that handle these kinds of cases. Or reviews. The 610 connector contamination issue. That same team is working on that. There's a lot of work that they do. The bottom line is, I have confidence in them, and I expect that the public will have confidence in the outcomes that we provide them with down the road. Appreciate it. Happy Thanksgiving.
You too, Dan. Good to be with you.
Final word, and we come back. Stay with us. So, coming up next week, we have a local author who's published a book on the concept of, you ready for this? Civility. Now that is a term that may not be at the tip of your tongue, but I think it's going to be an interesting conversation. An abbreviated week on the radio, for sure. Weekdays 3 to 6 on WPRI, and again, to you and yours, happy Thanksgiving. We're getting together. Awesome. Let's see. Right.